going to be somewhat reduced, so I think it's a pretty good pick. I'd be scared the hell of Umber in this game if I was Entity.
The question is, how good is Sand King mid against Ember, and if they want to put Sand King offlane instead?
That is true.
That is the question.
I mean, you do burn through his shield, right? Because the Sandstorm is annoying as hell, but yeah, it's not great.
Is Invoker still in the pool?
No,
Nope, just banned out.
Okay.
What lanes well against an Ember Spirit if they do want to relegate that Sand King to the offlane?
Is Lena still in the pool?
Yeah.
She is.
I love Yule's buyers against Ember. You dispel the Flame Guard, and you can actually burst them down. Sets up a lot of your potential stun action.
Yeah, we'll give them some more lockdown, which is always nice.
And just damage.
Right-click damage. Queen of Pain.
Okay.
That will be the hero. It will be a hero for mid, so they will put that Sand King on
He
the
is
offlane.
looking forward to this game.
Oh,
Look
yes,
at
he
this.
is.
Yeah.
Rubbing his hands at the thought.
I would say Bane is Fishman's signature hero. So he's very happy to get his hands on that one.
Damn, that is some TB set.
That is, yeah, that's with those gems that you can't make anymore, I think. Where you could choose the color.
That's very cool.
Old
That is
school.
cool.
And that is my favorite Clockwork set, the Tiny Dino one.
The Raptor.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, I agree. The fact that his animations makes it even better. I am feeling OG
You
personally. I think they're the better team, which
Yeah.
is not, anything crazy to say. But I think they have the answers for Terrorblade, honestly. I'm not a huge believer in Queen of Pain.
No.
I might be a bit of a hater.
I mean, I think this Ember could get really big. They do have Tiny. And I think Pugner and Viper is pretty gross to play against as well. So yeah, OG for the exact same reasons that Suns fans make.
I mean, on paper, OG has been an absolute tear. Like any opponent, they've just crushed it. Ever since they lost their one series that they lost in a very close third game against Team Secret, they've just crushed every opponent. Will they do the same thing to Entity? We're going to find out together with Cap and Jenkins.
It's right. The first time these two teams are going to face up against each other. First time, at least in an official match anyway. And it's a chance for OG to be able to claim the top spot in Western Europe because the current rule set says there is no tiebreaker if it is not between major
qualifying team
/ relegation.
I see.
So.
Okay.
Since we're going into a major that has all group stage, it used to be, okay, there would be a tiebreaker because, of course, first and second means you go to playoffs or you go to group stage. But since it's all group stage now, the current rule set says that, well, there's no longer that. It's just groups. So since you're all going to groups anyway, there's no tiebreaker there. So, which means OG could net themselves an extra 160 DPC points by being able to win this match right here because they have the head-to-head against Gaming Gladiators.
Yeah, and that mattered a lot last year. So I think people have a lot of respect for the points that they can get from the leagues. Yeah, especially after like regional finals happened for there. That's our tour.
The one RTZ clan member.
Yeah. There's a lot of fake RTZ clans out there, you know?
There is, yeah. There's a South American one. There's a Russian one.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of fans. A lot of our tour fans all around the world.
So this is an interesting draft from Entity. They picked Terrorblade into Tiny. It's the #1 hero in terms of there's three people here.
There's
Mark.
a lot of people here, and they don't sleep. They don't Shadow Strike. They don't really want the kill.
No. They're playing for lanes, which is fair. I see players more often than not these days. Like unless you can get a first blood for your mid and it's like guaranteed, you don't want to like skill things up that you're not going to want for lane because it just ruins the lanes and it's not worth like the 200 or so gold that you get. But
Right. Let's continue on the Terrorblade because you were saying during the draft you were telling me privately there was an absolute dog shit Terrorblade game. There's no way you could possibly win.
So it's the yes. All right, those are my exact words. 100%. It's the highest winner here versus Tiny in the game, so I understand that part. But the other day we saw this Terrorblade versus Viper matchup, and Viper absolutely dumpsters this. It's really difficult. Like you have to really play the TB well. And I was thinking maybe they would even put Kalo in that lane just to secure the lane, even though they have the Coddle Sand King down here, which obviously is a very effective lane.
Yeah.
Get the double barrel strike and everything, double nuke. But, yeah, because Clockwork deals well with the Bane, and Viper deals very well with the Terrorblade. I expect that lane to be very difficult. And I think Terrorblade's going to have to go jungle pretty early, but we'll see.
I feel like that's not the only answer to Terrorblade here, right? It's the I feel like Pugna as a support actually deals pretty well. I mean, he cleans out the illusions, right? Whenever he tries to throw him down lane, you've got a support that can instant kill him. That's
yeah.
nice. The Crepify is a very useful tool defensively.
Yeah, you're totally right. Like the thing with TB is like a big reason that this hero is considered very strong is the fact that you can push out lanes, but you do it with like single illusions, not multiple. You're not like Naga Siren. So clearing just one illusion on Pugna is actually pretty damn impactful. But so basically what Entity is doing here is they're saying that we think that this is good enough versus Tiny, which they're right about that. Like it's literally the #1 winner hero versus Tiny, because Tiny cannot burst TV and you just turn and you sunder him. It's what we saw at TI. It's it's you know what Team Spirit did to deal with the Tiny. So it's very strong. It's very strong. And they're saying, okay, even with these counters, we still think that it's strong enough that it's worth picking it in the game. You can already see that Viper's doing very well in lane versus Terrorblade.
So it sounds to me basically that if Entity can get out of the laning phase, let's say the first 20 minutes of the game, and be looking pretty even on net worth, you're feeling good about this Terrorblade being able to carry
Oh yeah, for sure. Because, you know, at that point, you don't care about the Viper. It's, you know, magic damage, you're going to have BKB, you're going to have Scotty. Same with Pugna. Exact same answers to Viper will answer the Pugna. Other than the illusion killing, which is a bit of an issue.
Boy, Misha is just being quite obnoxious here. And Yuragi even joining him and kicking Toby out of lane. The Keeper of the Light's like, all right, sorry, Toby, I'm going to have to take some CS here. And he'll try and stall up the creep wave, connect them together. Kutomi doing a good job of kind of ensuring Toby gets not totally screwed by Misha's play there.
Honestly, more often than not, this is what you see with Sand King lanes these days. Like, players have gotten really good at just understanding that he's extremely weak in the first few levels, and it's not the type of hero that you want to just, you know, let him get to level 4, let him get to level 5. Like, I know a lot of people consider Sand King to be like arguably the most overpowered hero of the patch. People in pubs will like flame you and pause on you. It's like high-level pubs. Like, people are really grumbling about Sand King. It's like, oh, it's just such an easy hero, yada yada. But the way that you punish it is in the lanes. I've never seen people die behind the tier 1 like that, but I can understand why they have this mentality of pressuring, because that's kind of what everybody's thinking towards the Sand King. Like, weak early, absolutely god tier later. You have to pressure when he's actually weak.
And it goes to show how strong he is, because I feel like doing well in lanes is a very important part of the meta right now.
It is.
And to have to be actively first picking a hero
that you know will do pretty bad,
will get absolutely destroyed in lanes more often than not, says a lot about his viability.
Whether it's strange, it's weird. Like, most of the time Sand King loses lanes. Like, once he's got the levels, he's okay, but by that time, you should be losing to the degree where, like, the carry has more items than you and can deal with you. But a lot of the time, Sand King goes 0-2 in lane, gets a Blink Dagger, and laning phase is just forgotten. Like, nobody gives a shit. You just do so much damage, and you've the greatest initiation currently in the game. So it's like, it just doesn't matter. You need so little to do a lot on that hero.
And his recovery mechanism is really good, right?
Yeah,
as long as you support stacks for you. Fishman is going to die here, it looks like, as maybe he can actually brain stab and keep himself alive. No, he's just slowed too much. Even a stick being used there, but it's not enough. Amar picks up the first blood. This lane is indeed going very well for OG.
So one thing that I'm thinking about now with the Entity draft, with picking the Terrorblade into Viper and into this difficult lane, is that they do have a Sand King, who we already talked about. His laning is pretty weak, and he wants to ideally like take the safe lane at some point. So you have a safe lane that's basically, you know, designed to lose, and then a hero that likes to take the safe lane. That's kind of a perfect storm there. So Sand King at you know, in the next few minutes, especially when the catapults come out, I think we could see SK TPing towards top and holding that lane, and TB just goes and jungles up, and then all of these counters just don't matter. Which
would explain maybe why they wanted to keep the Coddle down there, because they need Sand King to get some good levels. That way he could take this lane away from Crystallis, who is obviously struggling here, and he is going to die again. And Fishman, I think, just kind of joined in the party to possibly die as well. I don't see any escape for him unless he can somehow block him out in trees. Taiga's actually getting a little low. Fishman wants at least that, but no. He gets pushed back into his doom. Amar with a double kill, is now 3-0. You know, we've seen this guy shut down, and he still comes back and has a great game. I'm very scared of what it looks like when he wins his lane super hard.
Yeah, and they do this dive on at the 5-minute mark. So the catapult's just about to spawn. The catapults are hitting the side lanes, as we can see here, and they just killed 2 people. So it's going to be even harder for anybody to go up towards that top lane. And given the fact that Sand King's having a tough time down here, he's only got 2 levels in Sandstorm. So it's not exactly easy for him to hold the top lane right now, just because you don't have the permanent Sandstorm. You don't have the 100% uptime on it. It doesn't do that much damage. So
yeah,
there's not as much threat with that level 2 Sandstorm. Like, you can just walk into it and kill him, and you don't take that much damage from it. Level 5, that's when you get to the point where Sand King can actually kill you.
And Terrorblade is also not at a point that he's going to jungle super efficiently just yet. As Misha trying to juke out, goes back into the trees and TP's away. He'll TP actually back to base, so maybe there's some time here. Amar's actually going to die. Good rotation there from Stormstormer, set up by Fishman with the sleep. So they relieve a little bit of pressure there in the top lane, while the TB just focuses on jungling. No longer has a lane to work.
Yeah, they needed that. They needed, like, both the side lanes are kind of tough right now, and both the TB and the Sand King want to farm, so it 100% falls on your mid laner at that point to start rotating and, you know, use those levels that they got from the mid lane in the farm. So yeah, that was a solid rotation.
BZM has been joined by Taiga, and they're trying to pressure the mid lane while the Queen of Pain was away, so they get a little bit of chip damage there, nothing major.
Forcing the blink. That doesn't do anything more than that, though. BZM too. Arcane Rune pulls the whole creep wave to the easy camp, so like he's just 100% farm focused right now, which is what you see with Ember Spirits more often than not these days. Ever since the change where Sleight of Fist does 100% damage to creeps, it's so easy to just sit in a lane, and anybody that comes in, you just slowly chip away at them with Sleight of Fist and clear the whole creep wave as well at the same time. So it's like you cannot sit in lane and farm against Ember. And so a lot of Embers these days are just not really rotating, which is a little weird because this is one of the better rotating heroes in the game, especially if you get a rune. But it just makes so much sense to sit in a lane and chip.
Oh, Fishman. Kind of lucky to be alive there. Does rotate back out. Basically, Amar and Taiga, they want to make sure that nobody is actually sitting behind the trees there and soaking experience. Fishman does need some help here, and Chrysalis was in the neighborhood and will probably be enough to allow Fishman to be able to disengage. Stormstormer actually going for this. It looks like they've got an easy kill on Taiga, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's pressure. It's pressure. Like, OG, they're farming on all of their cores right now. They're so happy with this, with just a support dying for that, forcing those rotations. Like, Yuragi is untouched bottom lane. My boy has no kills or anything. He's still top net worth.
Yeah, OG just being very farm efficient after winning lanes. I feel like this has just been a bit of a formula for them, is dumpstering lanes really hard, and then what they know really well how to use that lead that they're able to get from it. So we're going to see how Entity is able to respond, and it feels like they are doing a good job of keeping it like the net worth hasn't spiraled out of control or anything.
Yeah,
This top tower is still alive.
They're weathering the storm for sure. Yeah, they're doing a pretty good job. They're not losing a lot. I mean, Fishman just trying to get solo XP up here. Soaking a bit. He's going to get punished for it.
But still, I mean, even if he dies here, right? Like, in a way, he's kind of been doing his job.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. He's a 5. Who cares? Like, this doesn't matter. Ideally, like, you know, in an ideal world, he has, like, a tango and he goes through some tree there and survives, like, epically. But,
sure.
Yeah, as a 5, that's what you want to do. He's getting a 6. Once he gets a 6, he can start making rotations, and Entity can actually, you know, potentially get a lead in this game rather than just kind of passively farming. They can actually do something aggressive.
Yeah, and they kind of need that Fiend script to be able to do something about this Ember Spirit currently, which until there's like a Blink Dagger on the Sand King, it feels like BZM can kind of run around, do whatever he wants.
Yep, he's pretty free. It's entirely on Fishman. Misha, quite aggressive. Quite aggressive.
Yeah, dive past the tower, no problem.
He's got a salve, so he's just trying to, you know, efficiency.
Oh, Taiga! He is going to blink to the other side, but this also means that Stormstormer is a little bit exposed here as he doesn't have his blink back up, and BCM really wants to go for the punish here, but the blink is coming up in a second. Will be able to go some distance, and TP out stays alive. Just barely. That DD was almost the death of him.
That was a nice little play from BZM. I mean, it doesn't end up netting anything, but they kind of baited that there. I think if he doesn't have the DD, that looks a lot worse. This nets them the tower, so they don't get the kill, but because of Stormstormer having to TP back, it's just a free tower with the catapult. And you see this a lot these days. The tiny carry rotating towards mid at like the 10-minute mark. It's not just like a passive farming hero. He's got so much HP that like good luck killing him at this point. 1800 HP hero that does a bunch of damage to towers. Like, it's just a perfect hero to rotate mid.
Yeah, I think there's actually kind of a tie between Terrorblade and Tiny in that regard, is that they both kind of do that rotation, right?
Yep.
Terrorblades will do it if they're ahead. This TB probably needs to spend a little bit more time jungling before they make a move like that.
Yeah, usually with Terrorblades, like, you get a Dragon Lance. Like, if you get an early Dragon Lance, you make a move like that. Fishman's trying.
Yeah, they do have
grip.
Taiga in the neighborhood. They're going to go for the grip. Can anybody block the hook? They need to be able to hit this, but Taiga is surrounded by heroes. That means BZM has no savior, and Taiga, in fact, may need to use that hook shot to be able to get himself out of danger as he gets some distance, but Stormstormer hot on his tail. Doesn't have the Shadow Strike to slow him down, but he does have the Coddle, lowering down some of those cooldowns. Even still, it wouldn't be enough nuking power.
I gotta say, that was a little cocky positioning there from BZM. Like,
yeah.
he sees the Bane. He sees Fishman sitting right there. He knows he didn't use grip on the mid lane or anything like that. He knows they're all there, and still, like, he was just confident in Taiga being able to stop the grip.
Yeah, Taiga might have been making the call, you know, like, don't worry, I'll save you, but Entity, they will not be able to get Stormstormer out of there. Almost completed Blink, not quite good enough. They trade out with Taiga, but this is looking pretty bad for Entity. They've got to get out of here. And away through the river they go until the Ember Spirit actually catches up, diving in, separating targets here, but it looks like Toby's going to get burned down less. No, the Sleight of Fist cleans him up even after the Burrow Strike, and the other two pick up the Bane kill. So OG, they may have lost BZM, but they strike right back.
And this whole time Amar is just chilling on the top lane. I like his build. Have you seen this before, the Null Talisman on Viper? I feel like there's a lot more heroes that could get Null Talismans
Yeah,
these days.
I mean, there's such a value item right now. The casual Null,
Yeah.
that sounds pretty good to me.
I think there's also a lot of like int heroes that maybe want to. He's just chilling. This is the most Amar like heat map I've ever seen. But then again, you know, if you're Viper, like this is definitely one of the heroes where the heat map should look like that. So seems like a perfect fit for the way Amar likes to play.
Misha will join him up here, ensuring that Amar doesn't get smoke ganked or anything.
So yeah, still top net worth, all 3 cores of OG. The question is, when do they actually want to group up? It's OG, so probably not for a while. This is what they do. But I also do feel like this is the way that patch looks in a lot of other games as well. There's a lot of like, you push one tower and then you farm with that advantage for like 5 minutes, get another round of items, push another tower, farm with that advantage. Like, people are not just deathballing towers anymore. It's like, maybe you could call something like Death Prophet or DK like, oh, it's a death ball, but it only really happens when you have those item timings and after, you know, still a period of farming. Like, Sand King just sits in his lane. Same thing for Endy. He just sits in his lane until he gets a Blink Dagger. He didn't even go hold the top lane. That'd be abnormal in another patch.
So it's a little bit more formulaic, the ball. Maybe like a bowling ball.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
Take your time, you know.
Maybe it's like a bowling ball and it keeps coming out that, you know, what was that?
Yeah, you gotta
The
wait for it to
machine.
come back
You wait
to
for it to come back, you throw it again, you wait for it to
Right,
come back.
yeah.
Or you could just grab somebody else's ball, it's too heavy. Well, okay, phrasing, all right.
He's going a little far, but go on.
I'm just saying, if you're used to an 11-pound ball,
Uh-huh.
phrasing once again on that, and you grab a 13-pounder and you throw it, you might screw up. You're not going to hit that strike. So people just don't bother pushing these days because they'd rather wait until they know that it's something that's secure when they have an item timing.
No
Amar,
sense in forcing it.
No sense in forcing it. Yeah, Amar going for a Manta style on Viper.
Middle tower is under attack.
That's not something that I've seen before. Not for a long time. to be frank with you here.
I mean, it dispel helps deal with there are a couple of things he could dispel here. That's not bad. He could also, in theory, use the illusion to help deal with nightmare targets, but
yeah, sure.
It's very interesting. I mean, it's very Amar. It's very like I'm gonna carry from the off lane.
It is
style.
It is.
Oh, Taiga off the mark there. Maybe it's for the best. His team was a little far away. He's going to be going for a shard. Right away. No force staff.
Hell yeah,
right
that's awesome. That's way more fun than a stupid force staff.
That's true.
We're gonna watch the miss.
Dude, you just name and shame Taiga.
Yeah, that
like this?
is
Damn.
a little rude. But ignore that.
Spartan was saying when I did the interview with him, he was so excited about this clock. He's this clockwork hero. Gives you everything.
Who was?
It gives you so many suns. Spartan.
Spartan. Oh yes, I saw that.
And of course, Spartan are currently watching this series, cheering for OG, because if Entity does lose, it means that Entity and Brame will be in a tie, and only one of them will be going to relegation. So we'll have an interesting best of 3.
Oh, the old high ground smoke break. Yep. A grip used. Okay.
Really want the kills that they can get, but BCM, Misha, they're all here, and they might just have to leave Fishman to die. Yeah, Fishman even going the other direction. Then Katomi accepts his fate.
Yeah, I mean, BZM just knows if grip is used, like he can go in and act like a madman there, and he's not going to die. Toby was showing top at the same time too. So if there's no Sand King and there's no Fiend's grip, like BZM, he can be a maniac if he wants. Now he's got to be a little careful because he doesn't see Toby, so Toby could have TP'd in at this point. That's probably what he's thinking right now.
Actually, Toby's underneath a ward.
Oh, never mind. He's under vision. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Taiga might actually try and go for that. The Tiny's closing in as well. If they manage to get the hook shot, cogs backwards, that'd be quite the combination with the avalanche over the top, then the toss. Beautifully executed by Yuragi and Taiga. Well set up.
Yuragi is now on the board for kills. More often than not, this is what you see with Tiny, is they pick up the shard, pick up the Echo Saber, and that's when they can really start getting involved. Around that time, too, you have like max level and almost all of your abilities, so you actually have the burst to kill heroes. You're not just going to get kited, and he does have his full Shadow Blade now, too, so the map's going to look a lot scarier for Entity from this point out, because Yuragi really hasn't been doing anything up until this point. Now he wants to get involved.
Yeah, I feel like that's... when the map is already kind of closing in on around you, Entity, having lost their mid tower, mid and top lane are always pushing in, and Entity's just trying to keep bottom, you know, somewhat out. That's Shadow Blade. There's a lot of room for Yuragi to get some pickoffs.
Oh,
and
he hits the hook.
Cogs backwards into the chains. Very nice. Once again, Taiga setting up with one other core to be able to pick up some important kills.
BZM is using the Entity voice lines. That's really funny. That's good.
Panic.
Yeah, classic. Yeah, Taiga's like hard carrying this, man. I mean, he's doing so much work. With 3 cores, like basically sitting in separate lanes, it's falling entirely on him. What's a Pugna gonna do? You know, it's falling entirely on him to actually set things up.
Yeah.
And he is. I mean, Misha's doing great. It's like you can walk into ganks 7 minutes faster than Manta stock, because nobody goes Manta on Viper. that is so weird.
Oh.
But no, Taiga's totally carrying this game, which I suppose are words that are not, you know, unique.
It's definitely not a foreign concept to OG.
Yeah. No.
Spirit Vessel complete for Katomi, so we've got some better ways to deal with these heroes. We know that a Pugna is going to be sitting behind a core somewhere, and they already have a bit of a problem with being able to burst somebody down, as some of these heroes, Viper, I mean, all 3 of their cores have some
Tiny,
sort of
it's like
way to be
Vessels.
very tanky. Yeah.
Vessel in general against Tiny. Dude, the same smoke break, it's so unfortunate. Like, every single time Entity goes for this smoke, at this point, it feels like you really have to do some crazy wraparound. OG's been on point with like just having their supports like standing there and breaking smokes. It's one of those things that when you're watching it and just nothing happens like that, it doesn't seem super impactful because literally nothing happened. But when you're in the game and you've run out of smokes because every single one you're just running into a Pugna or a Clockwork, it feels like shit.
Yeah.
Like you can't do anything. Smokes are so important in Dota.
Yeah, it's really interesting how OG is basically, they'll let them have some of the safe lane, they'll let them have some of that bottom lane, but they won't let them get past the outpost
Yeah.
a lot of times.
Yeah.
There's just somebody usually hanging out there, whether it's Misha or the Clockwork, you know,
Yeah,
making sure
yeah.
they can't actually get maybe a full wrap into the mid lane or something, or let them hit this tier 2 too much.
Dude, you know, I was watching a collapse replay the other day, actually, and I noticed something like that in a lot of these games, there are lanes, like, not being pushed. So that way, the creep wave is in, like, a dangerous area where, like, if you come up, you're going to die.
Misha gets blown up. Now, we do have a full-out Scotty on the Terror Plate, so Entity have hit it a very big timing of their own. We said, you know, if this game is somewhat even, somewhere past 20 minutes, we feel pretty confident about this Terror Blade versus Tiny, just purely that matchup. But, you know, then again, you can't really forget about the fact that OG likes to be able to have 3 different cores scaling throughout the game. So we'll see how impactful Lamar is as a carry, as Yuragi threatening Stormer, just doing a good bit of damage, forcing him back. Maybe Taiga could have gotten a hook shot, maybe not. Either way, forces the Quap off the map.
Yeah, the problem here is like what you said. There are oh, he doesn't get the toss. Yeah, he tosses the creep.
Yeah, if he tosses them, and then especially if Taiga is able to close the distance there,
Yeah.
the hook.
Yeah, that could definitely be a
Ooh.
kill.
Hook shot. Second attempt. This time does land on Fishman, and very fast, easy kill. And OG now cementing, okay, you can have the bottom lane because we're very focused on Roshan right now.
Yeah, I mean, usually when you lose a Bane, like we've been talking about for the OG side, like you lose a support, you don't really care that much because their death timer is so low, they just respawn and come to the fight anyway. But when you're directly in front of Roshan, that's a different story. Like 30 seconds is actually enough time to take Rosh, so that's just really unfortunate that that's where Fishman ends up going down. And I think the reason that he goes down there is because he was trying to ward Rosh because he was worried about them taking it. And, you know, in doing that, he actually loses it.
Ooh. Thankfully, oh, it was still enough. I thought the Essence Ring was maybe going to keep him alive, but damn, Yuragi beats him down.
Yeah, he's just huge, dude. He's just massive. Like, he's got the 20 talents already. He's got the Silver Edge, so he's critting. Like, his damage is just enough to kill any of these Entity heroes. Maybe not TB. Probably not TB. But
This is very rapidly turning into OG destroying any hero that's not TB. And I don't know, like, if I have the same faith. Like, sure, Terrorblade versus Tiny, but can Terrorblade 1v5? That's what it's kind of looking like it's going to turn into.
you know...
Oh, there's another one. See if he gets the right crits, the toss up, and that's going to be good enough. Man, that toss damage does so much when you get level 3 grow.
So, yeah, you've got the counter on TV, but the more and more items you give this Tiny, the more the counter just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, an item advantage on, like, a Pudge can carry a game if he has an item advantage, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how Dota works. Like, items scale based off of each other. So a guy with 3 items is, like, way stronger than a guy with 2 items.
Especially if that item is Giant's Ring.
That's a solid item on Pudge.
I was watching your stream last night. The giant Pudge with the giant hook.
It makes the hook massive. Yeah, it's really funny. I want to see that with Bloodlust and BKB, see how big the hook gets.
Yeah. 14-7, 6,000 net worth lead, but it feels like a little bit more than that just because OG controls so much of the map. And soon, they're going to be knocking down tier 2s. And once they knock down tier 2s, the map starts getting very small for Entity. They're actually going to try and go for this one. The late cogs pushed back on Stormer. They're chasing after him a little bit. Yuragi actually came from behind, catches Katomi. Stormer's fine, but they still netted a kill. They're still going to get the second tier 2 back-to-back, so now it goes from 6K to 8K in rapid succession.
Yeah, and this is the point where you really hate the fact that there's a Tiny on the enemy team, because he can take tier 3s in a matter of, like, seconds, less than a second, depending on the items that he has. He's going for a BKB, so he's going for, like, a safer approach than to go for, like, AC or something like that.
Man, every time. Stormer.
If he crits.
40 health.
If he crit once there, like, Stormer's dead.
The rocket flare could have got him. He does manage to blink away to safety, and he'll be fine. But there's still 2 minutes left on this Aegis. They do have a BKB now on Terrorblade, so we'll see what that does when the time comes for a big team fight. It seems like Entity are very all in on just like, it's okay, guys, we're going to just keep conceding ground bit by bit and give Chrysalis more and more time to farm.
Yeah, no crit in those 2 hits there, which, you know, it happens. Yeah, Tiny going for BKB, full BKB completed now, so now the Sunder's not going to come through. That's a big reason why Terrorblade is considered to be the hard counter to Tiny, is because you know, Sunder him and he's got this massive HP pool, so you do a ton of damage to him that way, but that's not going to be coming through here. I like that Crystallis is building into a Daedalus. Like you said, they're all-inning on the Terrorblade, and this is how you can tell that they're all-inning on the Terrorblade. They're going to rely on other heroes to protect him, rather than him protecting himself. They definitely need the damage at this point, and they need to hope that they can keep him alive during a fight where he's just hitting all 5 of OG's heroes.
So everybody else is pretty much going to be a meat shield.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm surprised nobody's building like a Lotus. I guess it's just not that great of a Lotus game. But for Entity, at this point, you're looking for items like Force Staff and Glimmer Cape and Lotus, stuff like that.
Is it still, or we just, these items not good anywhere? The Vlad, Solar Crest, like, why can't we go that route? Goodbye, Sand King.
Yeah, they were. I thought they were the ones baiting him, but
Yeah.
it looks like they're baiting themselves. You talk about the... Okay, never mind. Still, OG, they're just...
Timed, Cogs push back, and they do have just enough damage with the poison to get the kill.
Yeah, they're like not giving Entity any time to breathe whatsoever. Even with like 30 seconds left on the Aegis, they're still being so aggressive with it.
Entity.
What was your question again? You said something about Vlad's...
Vlad, Solar Crest. We're talking about like how this is basically going to be a 1v5.
Yeah.
And the other 4 heroes are just supporting cast to the Terrorblade. Isn't like Solar Crest and Vlad's, aren't those like the traditional best items? Crystallis, do they have the damage for this one? They are going to be able to get a full Fiend's Grip. Pops the BKB to stay on top of Yuragi. Yuragi goes into the trees. He needs the vision. The illusion spot him, and it's no. Okay, good. They do manage to get that kill. Crystallis is now turning back in. He needs all the help he can get, and he's just nobody from town. Amar had a BKB, so he couldn't get off of Sunder, and Toby, well, he tries in vain to help out the Tiny, but just throws his death on the pyre. Another body added into it. It's Katomi. He dies behind the tier 1 tower, and Entity, well, they pretty much, they get themselves the kill they were hoping for in the Tiny, but you could see the rest of OG are equally a big factor.
Yeah, you can see how the counter... You can see exactly how the counter plays out right there. Like, Tiny just gets kited by the Terrorblade with the Scotty. Terrorblade is able to do enough persistent damage versus Tiny. Actually, if you look at the win rate of heroes versus the Tiny, it's all heroes that can take these like long engagements and do a ton of damage over a long time, because Tiny likes to fight like that. So Venomancer, Batrider, those sorts of heroes. So you can see the counter there, and he's just barely in that sentry range. Very lucky. But the other heroes are a problem at this point, just due to the laning phase and how OG has snowballed the game so far.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even need the Tiny at this point. Like, really, he's to deal with the other heroes, and the Terrorblade can be currently dealt with by Amar and BZM. Who has a DD, by the way, on BZM. So he's looking to get active.
Yeah, and he is going to jump after Stormstormer here. Didn't quite guess where that blink went correctly, but either way, chased him out the map, pushed this lane in with the Lincolns. So they've got a Lincolns on Ember, they've got a BKB on the Viper, a BKB on the Tiny. If they do go for this Terrorblade, he's not going to have great Sunder options.
No. If he... Toby using Epi.
Does manage to catch Katomi. Yuragi quickly follows that one up. Now they are going to go for the kill onto Taiga. Now BCM's right in the middle of everything. They do have the Fiend's Grip onto the Tiny right now, but no Terrorblade to follow it up. You can see Crystallis, he is on full retreat right now.
He has no meta. He doesn't want to fight.
No.
Like, this
is 15 seconds. Oof.
This is the point where, like, a carry player flames their team. That's where, like, depending on who you're playing, if you're playing with a BSJ or somebody, they're just screaming at you because you fought 15 seconds before meta is up.
Yeah.
I get the idea of like camping a high ground. That's a good way to take a fight where you're at this disadvantage gold-wise, and so you take an advantage somewhere else where you have the high ground advantage, the vision advantage. Like, maybe you can win the fight, but without the TB meta, even with a great grip onto Yuragi, like, he's not going to go down. There's not enough damage to kill Tiny right now, other than with Terrorblade hitting the entire time. By the way, I really like what OG's doing, just like with their choice to not sit and hold an area on the map. I know a lot of people a lot of teams like to do that. But what they're doing is they recognize that they have these really fast-paced heroes that can, like Ember with his jump, Clockwork with the hook. They have Tiny who's running across with Silver Edge. Like really, Amar is the only one that can't get across the map quickly, and even he has a Manta style, so he is actually kind of fast at this point. So for a Viper, relatively speaking.
Sure.
So OG is basically like, okay, we're not going to hold an area. We're going to let them come out and then just run across the map and kill them because our heroes have the mobility to actually do that, and we have the ways of catching them out, which I think makes a lot of sense with the Tiny in general because you want to catch people out with the Silver Edge, but all the other heroes in OG, they want to do that as well, so it fits perfectly here.
Yeah, they're just constantly sweeping top to bottom, bottom to top, catching Entity as they try and push out lanes. Now, we're expecting Entity at some point in time to be able to set up on some sort of high ground, and maybe OG walks into them. You can kind of see with their smoke. They're setting up on some high ground areas right now, but OG's nowhere near in town.
Yeah, that's like what they're hoping for too, and that's what that last fight was for them. Was it's a mismatch of timings, unfortunately for them.
Yeah.
But you can see what they're going for. It's that there's this map sweeping happening, and the way of punishing that is that OG gets cocky and they run up a high ground with the Tiny when people are not quite behind him just yet. And we almost saw that happen on the bottom lane too, not on a high ground, but the Tiny walked into a sentry, and all of a sudden he's just solo killing 1v3. So it's unfortunate that happens. But you can see what Entity is going for in this game.
Rocket Flare, Spawn Stormer. And Doji, who are currently smoked up, are going to head that direction. The Ember Spirit's going to be in first. He's got a fresh BKB, so he's able to do something like this and just demolish the support at the very start of the team fight. They managed to get Yuragi on top of Stormer, so there's another pick-off. Toby, he's kind of stuck, and Chrysalis is now going to have to do almost a true 1 versus 5, but he can't even beat Amar, it looks like, who is getting sucked on right now by Misha. Goes for the Thunder Blade, but Misha was already missing HP. He's like, okay, bro, go for it. I'm at a 3rd HP.
Yeah.
What do you want to do here? Chrysalis getting the tips, and Entity, who have stalled out this game, all for that team fight right there. You can see why OG feels pretty good.
That was just an unfortunate situation for Chrysalis, man. He's sitting against like a Manta Viper.
Who just picked up AC.
Yeah, it's got the AC, so one of the only times that I think I've ever seen a Terrorblade lose a man fight to a Viper. Then the only target to steal from in terms of HP is a guy that's been sucking Amar, and so he's super low HP. It's just weird. It's just a, an awkward thing to walk into.
Well, can't say it was a back and forth game of any kind. That was OG domination from, it really felt like it broke through at like somewhere around 20 minutes. I mean, they won their lanes, but Entity was kind of keeping it close, but Entity just seemed to have this idea that this Terrorblade,
yeah.
He'll be able to outcarry the Tiny, anything to get the TB farm, and it didn't work that way. Not against OG. Not when you have somebody like Amar who's like, I'm also a carry.
Yeah, I mean, OG basically played their regular Dota, and Entity tried this idea against them that they can pick a hero into counters, and just because they win the carry-to-carry matchup, that it's going to work, which I can understand why they go for it. It's one of the best carry-to-carry matchups in the game.
Yep.
So I get that. But yeah, OG, they just played their normal game, and it was enough. Like, I feel like they had no pressure on them in that game. And Taiga, like, he was on fire, dude. Like, that guy was setting up absolutely everything. He made it look so easy. He makes it so these other OG cores
terrible would that be?
Her persona, goddamn, she never shuts up.
Dude, her persona, I can't play her persona.
Sagan, Comey. Sagan. Sagan, Comey. Sagan, shut the fuck up.
It is so, I mean, I will criticize. I think it's fairly uninspired and not, like, it's just the same sentences over and over again. BL coming out overall last pick there.
Okay.
But yeah, also not a fan of the persona from Marana. I cannot play that. I have to unequip persona for voice lines.
Okay.
The Uragi Phantom Lance are coming out. BZM is on his Kunkka then. And it will be the offline Dragonite and then Pugna mid as we were expecting.
They don't really, I mean, they have Breathe Fire, they have Boundless Strike, they have Ether Shock, but once these illusions get really high octane, I don't know how they can deal with them.
Yeah,
Their Life Drain only works on one, obviously. Maybe if you get the Shard.
Shackle one.
This could be a Pugna Shard.
This is very good. The Shard game is very good here, but when if you're sucking and he does the
Doppelgang?
yeah.
Yeah.
When he comes back, you won't continue sucking. You've got to start sucking again. So you have to get the axe for it to be worth it, and that's not worth it.
Yeah.
So it's not
But
great.
it is a mid Pugna. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's worth getting it just for that, but maybe.
So based on shards alone, who won the draft?
I'll just say OG because I actually forgot I was going to say that.
Oh,
DK has probably the best shard out of all of them, but
Yeah.
overall for the team composition, I think
Marana's
OG's
shard
like,
sucks.
yeah, hers sucks,
My sitting
Pugna
down
sucks,
noise.
but those are on opposite teams, so they kind of cancel each other out.
Sure.
Let's just say OG.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, what the hell? Well, let's find out. Game 2 coming to you right now with Captain Jenkins.
Thank you so much, Cheever, Statler, and Waldorf. Love their work on the Meat Boat and the Muppet Show.
I never watched the Muppets, so.
Mental faculties going down a little bit, though.
Is that the one with Bert and Ernie?
Sure. Let's go ahead and say that.
Okay.
Maybe you should join them in the bingo hall. It was
Big
a
Bird.
little rough. All right.
That guy's awesome. Anyway, we got to pause here. So.
We have a pause. We also have a Uragi Phantom Lancer.
We
His
do.
most
We
played
do.
hero competitively.
Yeah. I'm pretty decent PL game, I would say. The Pugna Shard, one of the more overrated things against the PL. Yeah, you there. He's literally gone.
Yeah, he's
So,
not there at all.
That's not good. Go ahead and try to get that sorted.
Maybe he's playing on his knees.
Guys, that's possible. And maybe that's like his wife's chair, who when she sits and watches him play Minecraft, that's where she'll sit. He's mining diamond. It's very exciting.
I've had a weird obsession with Minecraft lately.
It's not an obsession. Go back to Dota. Oh, there he is.
Hey,
there he is.
we're
My
back.
boy. All right, hell yeah. Yeah, the Pugna, overrated. The Shard, the Pugna Shard, overrated. Pugna, not overrated.
Okay.
Very strong.
Why is the Shard overrated? Can you explain
Yes.
exactly? 'Cause
So here's
I
what
was trying to
happens.
listen to the comedy routine earlier.
Here's what happens, okay? PL goes in,
Yeah.
6 illusions. Pugna puts the thing down,
Okay.
sucks it, kills the 6 illusions. He
Okay.
presses W, there's 3 of him again, hits once, 5 and 6 of him in a second, and then PL insta-kills the Shard with his illusions anyway. So it's like, it's one of those things where if you're a Pugna player, like, oh yeah, this is gonna be sick. You do it, you just walk in and die. It's really not that good.
So you're saying the Shard's only good if you have an Aghanim Scepter?
Nah, the Shard on Pugna is pretty bad.
Oh, okay.
It's super overrated.
All right,
but
fair enough.
Pugna, still OP. I mean, the Nether Ward, 25% damage, a spell damage reduction. I mean, that's just insane. That's just super strong. Monkey King also pretty good against PL, from what I've heard from Monkey King players out there. There's, of course, the old Battle Fury build, where when you ult, you're going to be cleaving all of the PL illusions. There's the Maelstrom build, which presumably is probably what he's going to be doing in this game. You clear the illusions fairly quickly. But so on both sides, there's answers. Like, we have Monkey King versus Timber as well. Obviously, favorable lane for the Monkey King, one of the classic counters to Timber. However, we have seen people. I remember Tundra actually picked Timber into Monkey King, and they just cut the wave. Level 3, they just cut the wave, and Monkey King is farms and Timber farms. So, yeah, there's answers both ways in this game.
Okay. So it'll be interesting to see how exactly Entity tries to deal with some of those answers, because they can't afford to let Amar have that kind of laning phase, right?
No, and they have Enchantress, so I mean, this is arguably the strongest laner in the entire game. you're playing to Mirana, so the creeps are less of an issue. But even leveling up just the W for slowing and like going on Amar on Timber, like with the Monkey King, or leveling up the Q and just doing that harass damage with Enchantress, like those are both options. That you don't really need the creeps necessarily on Ench to like dominate the lane.
Yeah.
Like, all of her spells are really good for lane domination. Of course, you still do want the creeps because you want to pressure early towers, stuff like that, but you can start Q, start with your heal, whatever. Oh, they're actually, okay. So they're dodging the Mirana matchup. And they have Pugna with the, or sorry, they have the Shadow Shaman. I like that. Shadow Shaman with Monkey King. A grip on Timber with the Monkey King Jingu, like that sounds really devastating for Timbersaw.
Yeah, this looks way better.
Surprised OG's not trying to rotate the Mirana towards the Enchantress. I suppose it's because Timber can be left alone eventually, and Mirana loves that. She can just go jungle, right? So,
Yeah, because, well, wasn't Taiga there at the start? I think he was at top lane at the very start of the game.
I don't remember the pause.
So I think they actively chose to have the Mirana down here. They're like, okay, they dodged the Enchantress Mirana matchup, but we still want the Mirana there.
Yeah.
And the reason you're saying makes a lot of sense, particularly with the Kunkka, who can set up an arrow very easily.
And a Bane in the other lane. Like,
Yeah,
Mirana being off map is insanely strong in this game.
That's true.
If Mirana's off map, like, you have to be afraid in the other two lanes, and the only way you can be off map is if your core in the lane doesn't need you. Timber, as soon as he's level 3, doesn't need any help from any support.
What do you make of the overall, like, Stormstormer? It's his hero, Pugna, okay, but is Pugna core good right now compared to the support position? Because it just seems like support Pugna is so free.
It actually has a... so the win rate as 4 is low. The win rate as mid is, like, close to 50%.
Okay.
The win rate on 5 is, like, 58% in pro level pub.
Jeez.
So 5 Pugna, it seems to be the absolute best role for Pugna. Mid Pugna seems... okay, it seems decent.
Okay.
So because it's a specialty hero of his, probably it's viable in this patch, and so any specialty player is going to be happy when their hero is even viable. They'll make it work, so it'll be good. But yeah, 5 Pugna is like beyond busted. And I think it's with regards to like the build. I think the Glimmer and the Force Staff, that sort of stuff, is much better on Pugna. Just playing around, maxing out the Nether Ward instead of being a nuking type hero, playing around being a healer is better. And all of those things that I just mentioned, that's what 5s do.
Right. Seems like the lanes have started off pretty well for Entity here. Mid lane matchup seems to be a little hard for the Pugna. But otherwise, Monkey King's doing a pretty good job of keeping Amar down. Of course, Amar just got level 3, which is a pretty critical level for the Timbersaw.
Yep, and he went for 2 points in reactive instead of 2 points in Timber Chain. So that means if he did want to go cut, he can go do that now. But the problem is the W is so inefficient at level 1 in terms of the mana cost that it's hard to actually kill the creep wave if you cut. So you need like level 4 now to do that.
Yeah.
And this lane is, I mean, this is going to be a snooze fest, at least for the side of...
I mean, that's any lane with the Dragon.
Yeah,
I hate this hero, man.
He just farms.
He's so boring.
Yeah, I mean, this is the other hero that can be, you know, in Dota, in his side lane that could be pretty easily left alone because you sit there and hit him and he just doesn't take damage. And if he does, he heals it. So
yeah, there's these times where it's like, oh, look how many denies this Dragonite has, and then you remember, oh yeah, it's literally free. He just Dragon Tail stuns you, and he can right-click the creep wave twice.
Yeah,
before you
times.
Like how can you possibly beat that as a core?
You can't.
When it comes to that CS, you can't.
You can't.
No.
It's and he's impossible to harass as well. Mars actually, his read on this lane is that he can stay versus the monkey with level 2 reactive, which is interesting because I don't know, it's a tough read. I mean, against Ursa, I don't think that would work. Depends on the skill points, but he actually is pretty tanky with the Soul Ring armor as well. Like that matters.
Yeah, certainly.
Timber's like super based on these like damage thresholds where you have like enough armor, enough regen to sustain through something.
So it's super important for him to constantly keep max reactive armor stacks.
Yes.
Which, whenever he gets chased away from the creep wave, it's going to feel kind of bad.
Yeah. This is a tough lane to play, but I mean, it's one of the classic counters, so Amar has played this one like so many times at this point. Like any Timber main has played against Monkey Kings and Ursa like almost every game.
Yeah.
Because carries get last pick in pubs.
Holding in the Mirana. And they actually get this kill. They do have the Kunkka coming in, but the boat is going to be a little off the mark, or not there in time, rather. Chrysalis picks up the first blood. He is going to be pulled back to his doom, but still, the fact they got a first blood, despite the BCM rotation, is going to feel okay for Entity. Misha now going to be in some trouble. He's going to be stunned up and killed. So they at least kind of even out those kills.
Yeah, 2K gold lead, just like that.
Yeah, they're doing very well.
Wow, and Stormstormer in the meantime, too. He's just kind of chilling mid, not actually doing any damage to the tower. Hasn't even hit it once, surprisingly. He's just opting to kill the easy camp instead.
Yeah, Amar, he's not level 5, so I'm not sure if they could actually do anything about the Timbersaw anymore. Yuragi, though, he has had some serious trouble. Look at his net worth. He is bottom of all the cores right now, and that's just because Toby is able to get so many denies against him via the Dragon Tail. Tomi's constantly harassing him as well.
In my opinion, he's stunning him and then denying, so...
Yeah, that is probably a good assumption.
That will be a way of getting guaranteed denies there, so...
It is free every time.
Yeah, and on both side lanes, or both off lanes, I should say, you can see Toby's getting excellent levels, like almost level 6, and man, he's even maxing Dragon's Breath, which is what a lot of people are doing these days instead of maxing the passive. Just because Dragon's Breath, it recently got buffed. It does 20 more damage at max level, so one shot's range creeps. Great for harass too.
Certainly, and that's where Yuragi's probably been suffering a little bit. Misha does barely stay alive, but as Toby is closing in on that level 6, not having the support in lane is going to feel real bad for Yuragi. They're going to need a little bit of help here, and that's why BZM's going to come in, and without those higher levels of the passives, he is going to die. So that is the downside of going for the 3-1-1 build, is that it does leave you a lot squishier.
For sure, for sure.
Taiga. Arrow going to be thrown out, dodged by Chrysalis, but of course the Shadow Shaman couldn't do anything about that one. And Amar, he has 3 levels of reactive armor. You're just not killing him with this lane anymore. And they got to stop thinking about, oh, what a play. They actually pop the glyph. Chrysalis gets 0 heal out of that one. He needs a little bit of time to be able to jump into the trees, but he can't quite get it. The arrow lands, and they've got him dead as well. Big pickup, as now Amar, getting revenge for all that harassment early, is easily winning the lane.
I gotta say, if anybody wants to learn Timbersaw, this is a really great game to look at for how to play the hero. Like, there's high-level stuff happening in this game because you have a guy who, he's a Monkey King specialist. So he's played against Timber a million times. And you have a Timber specialist who's played against Monkey King a million times. And we're seeing how Timber can actually beat Monkey King. And it's not through wave cutting, which we've seen in a lot of these like unfavorable Timber matchups. I think their reasoning that he can just be in the lane and play normally is that they have Mirana, who can go jungle, and so Amar's getting solo XP, and so it's really hard for they can never kill him because he just has too many levels. Like,
he also secures the range creep without being in like he can just throw out the arrow, right, and Timber takes it all.
Right, so Monkey King can't get the XP advantage because I think in that matchup, if Monkey King has like +1 level in Jingu compared to the reactive armor, you just go on him and he dies through his regen. The Timber will die. But it looks like, for me, like I always cut when I'm against a Monkey King, but in this situation, like he actually just knows that he has enough regen given the level advantage that he has, which is really interesting.
Oh, Katomi's not going to get away in time. That boat is going to land. They secure. Oh, he did manage to deny the bounty rune.
Nice.
Play Katomi.
Nice.
It's the spiteful support play.
Yeah, literally worth it. Worth his death for the, you could argue the creep could just be there, but no, that's what you want from an Enchantress, to be positioning up aggressively like that. The only problem, the only downside to that is that was a Mirana that's like in the 4 position. He was getting, he was in the winning lane.
Yeah.
Then again, most Enchantress lanes win. But she doesn't necessarily want to run in and die like a 5 does.
I'm a little bit surprised that Chrysalis still wants to play this lane out. I thought he would rotate to top after they've taken that tower, but he continues to play against the Timbersaw. Maybe they're going to get a rotation from Stormstormer sometime, who has, we haven't actually seen him on screen for a while, but I feel like he's just been chilling mid lane. And if he's going to be doing all that chilling, he can't afford to die here. Unfortunately, the arrow doesn't land. His extra bit of movement speed that Apugna has allows him to dodge that one. They're going to get the Bane kill as A little bit of revenge for Stormer. So he took the mid tower. They've taken the top tower. Katomi, well, BZM may not have gotten the mid kill, but at least he'll get the Enchantress again.
Once again, that's not really what you want to see from your Enchantress if you're position 4. Like, dying as a 5 like that is a lot more okay. But as a 4, they're going to end up with 2 5s this game, basically, because of this. Like, Enchantress falls off like crazy. He has no leaps.
No leaps left, so they do get the Mirana kill. Amar, though, is easily able to get away, so this is...
Holy shit, that was... They're all at the same time, FPS. Cool.
That's weird, because I haven't even seen Wukong's command being used.
Yeah.
That's usually...
That is usually what does
Usually
it.
everybody's PC all, chugs down in FPS because of that spell.
Just Fishman. Can Fish... What FPS do Fish see in? Because, the human eye can only see 6 FPS. That's what I've heard. And so Fish probably see, like, geez, I mean, they...
Well, I mean, it depends on whether or not they're underwater or not. Underwater, it's probably like 60 FPS, but...
Well, there's not even frames happening
like
underwater.
In the water.
You can't even see underwater.
No, there's more frames happening in the water, because there's all the textures everywhere.
Huh.
Yeah.
I use big words like texture.
Yeah, that is a pretty big word. It's 7 letters.
Yeah. Speaking of 7 letters...
Uh-huh.
Amar... having a really solid lane down here on the bot lane. Almost has his full hood. It basically looks like he's not countered. That's not him.
All right, Fishman's ready to go.
That was Fishman. He's not a fish. I was tricked.
No, it's not.
He's just chilling in the trees like he's a support. That's not what you want to see.
No, it's not. Then again,
that is what you want to see.
You don't want to see your Dragon Knight. I don't know. Entity's insistence to play 3 cores in 3 lanes, kind of like the way OG was doing the last game. They're feeding away some kills.
They're doing the OG right now.
Yeah, now Crystal's going to die bottom lane.
Yep.
Boat coming in, hits a nice 2-man stun, but he can't get away from the Chakram, not when he's that low.
More often than not, this is what you see from the Timber versus any of these counters matchup. They're going to get a Bane. I mean, it's something, that's for sure.
That is something. It's not nothing.
No, but there are very little shits to give, I think, from Misha in that in this situation when you're position 5.
Is the lack of shits due to constipation, or
that would be due to on account of being a Bane position 5, not constipation. Although this is what you want to see from Shadow Shaman.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
Shadow Shaman wards, not a bug. Not a bug, it's a feature.
No, of course not. They are meant to do this amount of damage to Roshan.
Yes.
And okay, so this is nice because you were talking about Entity playing 3 lanes. The reason they're doing this is because they did very well in the lanes, right? So they want to take some advantage off of the map. But there are no towers to get. God knows you're not going to push a tier 2 at this time. That's a great way to feed. But Roshan, when you have those Serpent wards, that is a play. Very nice call by them. That is a Shadow Shaman pervert, as I like to call them.
Why is he a pervert?
Because it's sick. These people, so that they get off to taking Roshan. They're just like, oh yeah, we can do this, guys. It's like, yeah, dude, we know. Relax. We've all seen the goddamn Reddit clips, all right? But these guys, they think they're, they think they're hot shit.
I thought there were no shits to give.
That would be OG. That would be OG. So
okay.
the other side is
So
fine.
it's no shits versus.
What do you think Fishman went AFK for? He's the one who came back and roached. He was probably reading Reddit. Holy shit, Shadow Shaman can take Roshan. 12 minutes.
He put up a Reddit thread real quickly. Playing against OG right now needs some advice. And some Redditors are like, did you know that Serpent wards actually do double damage to the Roshan now?
Wow. It's a feature, not a bug. Very funny joke, Redditor.
Oh no, those are illusions. Okay, he does have the stun to stop this, and he didn't actually break Wukong's command, but they also seem to have caught Fishman. Now the rest of the team is coming in of Entity. They're going to make sure their Dragonite's going to be okay, but they need to get Crystallis out of here, and he's being slowed down by Uragi so much. Fortunately, there is the Decrepify, but the BKB, a BZM, he wants to keep going. Crystallis does manage to dodge backwards, get away from the Torrent, but he can't get the lifesteal up in time. Toby's out of mana. Fortunately, Katomi does manage to get a kill out of this, but the arrow!
Ooh, yeah, baby.
He didn't see that coming in time. The trees hid the ascent of the arrow straight into his behind, and now Toby is going to be running to the trees, not where you want to go against Timbersaw. Panic, panic, panic indeed. Entity seemed to be panicking a little bit against OG, losing a terrible fight.
I know it was at the tail end of that fight where Dragon Knight, like, he's going to die anyway, but man, Timber is just so good against, like, pretty much every offlaner that people are picking these days. Every offlaner, who am I kidding? It's Sand King and Dragon Knight. But, you know, if you want one of these, like, standard offlaners, there's a Timber in the game. He just nullifies the fact that, like, they're supposed to be, quote-unquote unkillable. Timber's just like, all right, well, here's pure damage and percentage damage.
Yeah.
So finishes the kill on the Bane, but you can see that Enchantress, like, without the levels, man, without the farm, like, he's pretty weak.
Back inside the game, they're trying to get the fast kill onto BZM. Earlier, he had used his BKB, so it's still on cooldown. A good opportunity for Stormstormer to collect an important kill. And he does have the Aegis, and he's certainly going to need it, as Mar seems to be trying to go for him right now. They do have the side. Misha, okay, that's a freebie. Yeah, I think he was fooled by Amar, who was going in deep. And he was like, oh, I got you, brother, I'll go in with you. No, Amar was just timber chaining through.
Yeah, he's pretty safe to get in and out. But, you know, I think BZM dying, that's the real issue there for OG. Really great call from Entity. No, just like, capitalizing on that. Honestly, pretty short BKB cooldown. I mean, that's an OP item right there. Like, it's really good. Yeah. So just like capitalizing on that, it's something you don't really see that often. Like, people try, but
I feel like it's something they had to do.
Yeah,
I don't really think we were getting much effect out of this Pugna until that kill right there on the Kunkka. Now they've killed the Bane as well, but they still have this Aegis to use. It just doesn't feel like they can actually win team fights despite the Aegis advantage. And
no.
They're going to leave Katomi behind. He's going to be pulled back into the Torrent Arrow. Still not enough. Actually, with the heal from long range, Stormer helping out his buddy there. Crystallis barely getting way into the trees, away from those illusions. Got to be careful of them. Stormer continuing to challenge OG because he has that extra life.
He is low mana now, though, so they could honestly just like leave him at low mana, which seems to be what they're doing. They're kind of ignoring him in the fights, which I think makes sense. I mean, even if Stormstormer did die and come back, I feel like as a Pugna, it's
very easy to just die again.
You're probably just going to die again, yeah. So it's like, it's really a safety Aegis where like he can run around and do crazy shit, and he's not going to get ganked. But if we're talking like a full 5-on-5 team fight and he goes down, like, yeah, he's probably not coming back from that.
Well, it does look like Stormstormer, the aforementioned Pugna specialist, is going to be going for a shard, so...
Yeah?
I'll be expecting apologies from you and Suns fan shortly.
Listen, I think you probably still do it, but it's just not as sick as people think. If it constantly, like, re-triggered on the illusions, it would be really good.
No, that would be extremely good, yeah.
It's just the fact that it just happens once in the whole AoE. Now, the AoE is very big, though. It is deceptively large. That's what she said.
No, that's not.
Sorry about that.
9-13, a slight lead for OG right now, and Entity seemed to be kind of... Well, I thought they were going to be resetting. It seemed like they were like, okay, let's just farm up our next round of items, but they're going to go for a 3-man smoke here. Not really showing any heroes on the map. You could see Amar, he's got some bells ringing his head, warning him to back up because, again, nobody's showing. They've got some very deep wards on OG. Look at that. They've got a mid-deep ward that's right next to the Tier 1 tower. They've got a triangle ward as well. Entity isn't showing on either one of those.
Yeah, they don't see anything.
It's
they
like
see nothing.
A huge smoke flag.
I mean, yeah, that's a very, very long, thick
look at that
flag.
Circle. They are here.
Yeah, there's a... Yeah. he knows. He knows.
He's like, I'm not going to lane until one of you shows. They've even got a very deep ward now in the top lane as well, so after their mid ward died. So they continue to have two very, very deep wards that give them good idea, and Entity just refusing to give up. are going to hold this position in the lane, and they're going to try and test to see if anybody gets sloppy on the side of OG. If not, they'll just take this tower.
That's definitely one thing that Entity has going for them in this draft, is the amount of ways of taking towers that they have. Every one of their heroes, other than Monkey King, it has some like strong tower push ability. And they don't even need to commit to it. Like, Pugna can poke, and Shadow Shaman can throw Serpent Wards from far away, and DK is insanely strong, Enchantress can use the creep. BZM is cutting a creep wave, I see. They do see him.
You can see the arrow actually just kind of fishing.
Yeah.
No Crystallis is somewhere around.
Yeah.
Yuragi is going to be going for Scotty next, has the Diffusal plus Manta. So offensively, he's a dangerous threat, but can still get bursted pretty easily.
Yeah, there's a lot of like unmantable disable from Entity, like all of the Shadow Shaman spells, the Monkey King, Boundless. I mean, you can time it, DK stun as well. Like, this stuff is really difficult to Manta. The Manta, like you said, really is just for doing tons of damage and also not showing on lanes when you want to push, like just sending the Manta illusions down lanes. Yeah. That really helps too.
Well, OG once again have like 3 cores that can play, are very tanky and are hard to gank and can play independently. BZM, they're going to try and pull him back, but they actually hexed up Kunkka. Couldn't quite do it. Yuragi's going to close in for the kill, but the Fiend's Grip on the side might net them an extra one as the boat does manage to land. Toby in trouble. Decrepified, healed a little bit, but Stormer can't commit. Not in the face of this Phantom Lancer illusions. Yuragi quickly deals with the ward. Now turns back to the Enchantress. Pull back again. The Dragonite arrow coming in. Toby dodges it, but they're just barely keeping him alive, and there's no response from Entity. They are crumbling in this fight, and just hero after hero is falling.
The problem, like, Stormer, those were amazing saves in that fight. That looked great. It looked great, but who the hell does the damage if he's not the one doing the damage, if he's saving?
Yeah.
Like, you can only use those spells aggressively or defensively. So, I really, I think they need his damage. By the way, I love Amar's build. He actually went only 3 points in reactive. Like, he went reactive up until the point that the lane was won, and then he's just maxing the nukes.
Yeah, that is cool.
I think that's pretty cool. Does he have attributes or anything? No attributes. But he did go for the talents over reactive.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You know, I like that. I actually really like that, because if you take the tier 1s, you're probably doing that with reactive level 3. Like, you don't need reactive level 4 to tank those, really.
No.
And where you'd want reactive level 4 is like if you're pushing tier 2s or high ground, but in Dota these days, man, that takes a long time before you push tier 2s, especially high ground too, like 2 Roshans sometimes. I mean, this time it's going to be 2 Roshans for sure, because this is the second one. So, yeah, nice build. Cool build.
So Stormer did buy out the shard. I was curious to see if he actually did that, and he did. So it means they can give the shard to somebody else. Arrow coming in is actually going to hit Roshan. The Torrent's coming in as well. OG, can they get there in time? Yuragi, Toby intercepts. Nice stun. 2-man from the Monkey King as well. And they get a lot of good bird damage. Misha's going to get burned out as the Enchantress finishes him off with the impetus. Now the Monkey King jumping in for more. Really wants the kill on Yuragi and does get it. One swipe is good enough. And he still has the Aegis, so he's going to look for even more. Managed to get the kill up on Taiga. Now the Shackles holding down the Kunkka. A second Roshan turns into a massive team fight for Entity, cleaning up on all sides. I was getting pretty concerned that they were not going to be able to get past this whole tier 1 and doing Roshans. Like, when are you guys actually going to press the advantage? But what a sick fight from them.
Yeah, that double stun with the Pugna suck. I mean,
yeah, true.
That makes the shard look really good. Like, the shard actually looked really good in that fight. He did a solid amount of damage to both the Bane and the PL there. Yeah, that double stun, just beautiful. All the DK damage as well. Even his splash damage, because he's the red dragon. Like, all of this added up was just enough to push Yuragi back, and he ends up going down.
That's a really good point, because I was a bit concerned, like, okay, what is this, like, Phantom Lancer look going late game? But if DK can keep, scaling upwards, right? He always does pretty well against Phantom.
It's pretty good, yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, PL likes taking long fights, and, I mean, DK's one of the best heroes in the game for taking long fights. He has a passive that gives him armor and a regen, and he's got this splash damage over time, a damage over time ability from his Aghanim shard, damage reduction from his Q. He's got a low cooldown stun. Like, yeah, DK seems pretty good. I would wager that, like, if you look at Dota buff, he's he's probably in the top 50% of win rates versus PL, I would say.
Well, especially given how that laning phase went.
Yeah.
You know, if he can scale up to face a Phantom Lancer later on to the game and he does well in the laning phase, it's a strong combination. But it is still OG, despite that massive swing of a big team fight, plus claiming Roshan. It was a clean team fight, too. I'm not sure if Entity lost any heroes in it. They are actually still up in net worth on the OG side. Is there any big timings that we're going to be looking forward to? Looks like Phantom Lancer not going for the Scotty and going back for the Heart, so that'll obviously be a really big one. He already has the Reaver.
Yeah, so I'm surprised he's not going for the Scotty. I feel like it's really good against the DK, Pugna, Monkey King, all life. I mean, Enchantress as well. But that just shows you how much he's valued.
Oh! How did you do that?
I don't know how they...
Oh, they had the Harpy.
Oh my God, that's
bro.
how I was sitting there thinking, like, that ward.
Yes,
that
I was looking at the same ward. I was like,
that's their
there's
ward.
no way.
Like, where the hell's that vision coming from, bro? Is that a glitch? No, it's the
Classic
Harpy. It's the Harpy.
Yeah.
But the Heart is because he's afraid. He's just melting. Like, he's melting in these fights. He needs to survive at 10% HP and doppelganger out and heal up and then go back in, like, play the long fights. The Heart
They just caught Amar. This is a really big kill. They've got the disables to keep him inside the Wukong's command. No save whatsoever. In fact, the Bane's going to be caught on top of this. So nice two-man kill as Entity take that top tower, very quickly sweep through bottom lane, catches Amar out of position. And now they're going to start exerting a little bit of a stranglehold on the map.
Yeah, I mean, OG's kind of crumbling under the pressure of Entity here. Like, I know the net worth lead is still like slightly in favor of OG, but I mean, in the last few fights, it just hasn't seemed like they can do anything. They don't seem to have the damage to deal with the Entity heroes. Like, they just have too much healing and too much lifesteal, like, for the same reasons we talked about Scotty being decent. It's just, they just don't. And now Entity does have the damage on a few of their heroes. Even the DK we saw do a significant amount of damage there. So, yep, split pushing is going to be the name of the game for OG, it looks like. They need their PL to start doing damage. So, looking for just levels at this point. He has the Heart. He's going for the Scotty next. So that'll help.
I don't know. I feel like this, if they get an Aghanim Scepter on this Monkey King, anywhere he lands, there's just going to be constant, like, AoE damage with the Maelstrom and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
They've got the Fireball on the ground. They can use the Life Drain once with the ward combination to clear out a thing of illusions. So even if that's forcing them to use the Doppelganger and then follow up with something else after that, it really does look like Entity are in a very promising position. But we'll see whether or not OG has a game plan after this Aegis, right? Because that's part of it, right? They've been forced to remain passive. Extra life.
It just adds too much advantage that you can just wait and maintain the same level of farm. Like, why not just do that and then fight when you know the advantage is even, at least. One thing I did notice, by the way, in that Roshan fight that was the huge game changer for Entity is Stormstormer's spam pinging his Nether Ward. So he's clearly communicating to actually fight in the AoE of the suck around the Nether Ward, and that's why we see these double stuns and stunning the heroes near it. Like, as a team, and it doesn't surprise me because he's such a prolific Pugna player, but they know how to play around the new Pugna shard. They're respecting it a lot, which when you're mid Pugna, that makes a lot of sense because he's doing actual damage. Where is that X? Okay, it's somewhere. Yeah, it's hard to tell there. There he goes.
We'll get the tier 2. And we'll see how they try and catch OG, because they do have their BKBs, right? They lost the Aegis, but they got BKB on Monkey King. They've got BKB on the Pugna now. So they feel very strong about team fights. Particularly in team fights, as you were saying, around the ward. That's their whole lineup, right? They've got Serpent Wards, they've got the Pugna Ward, they've got Wukong's command,
yeah, put it all
they've
in
got
one
Fireball.
Spot. Yeah,
it's like, we just want to fight in one area.
You're totally right. You're totally right. OG wants to play fights in very large areas. Well, then again, I mean, they do have boat, but they PL, like, they've timbered, PL. Like, these heroes want to draw out fights. They can, run up high grounds. They can do the kind of Scooby-Doo style chase. Like, that's what they're looking for on the side of OG. Because you definitely don't want to.
fights.
Yeah, dude.
That's a good way to describe that.
Thank you.
You're talking about the hallways in the
Oh yeah,
doors,
yeah.
doors,
The door, some door openings. Freaking Shaggy there. Somehow he's over here. Next minute. Yeah, that's what they're looking for.
Doink
OG.
scoop. 2K lead now as Entity just passively pulling up a bit more, but not necessarily fully shutting OG out.
No.
As we are going to see the Aghanim Scepter next for Dragonite. We continue to talk about that scaling. What's our Kunkka doing, though? He's also going to be trying to turn into a right-clicker. He's going to be going for the Silver Edge.
Yep, and Amar, Aghanim Scepter, is on the menu for him tonight. So he's looking to do some damage. And
He's like, okay, you're going to lower my spell damage by 25%.
I'll
with the
double.
Pugna.
I'll double
I
it.
will double my
Yeah,
damage.
yeah, I mean, these days it is more frequent that you see the Aghanim Scepter get picked up. The Chakram's been buffed, I think, a couple of times in terms of damage. The pass-through damage, it's very good in general. But in this game, it does feel like it does really feel like they lack damage to kill the Entity heroes currently.
Yeah.
But they're ready. They're ready to go.
Arrow cutting
Oh,
across. A
they
big
got him.
catch. That is a Shadow Shaman kill. Potentially, Yuragi actually scared to commit there. Backs out. The Moonlight Shadow trying to protect some of these heroes. Misha is going to be jumped on, though, as Chrysalis and the Serpent Wards are all down. They want to be able to keep this Phantom Lancer in place, but he does manage Doppelganger away. Toby's still sticking to him, though. Amar, they got to focus one of these targets. Looks like maybe Amar's going to be the target as they go through the Timber Chain. Now the Wukong's command. He's surrounded. They keep him inside. It'll be a kill, but they can't quite get him. Trying to chase even farther. Doesn't get very far with that Timber Chain, but Entity back to the Wukong's command. Got to remember their idea of staying in one place. They cannot get separated too much chasing after Amar, and now they have to give up and fight entirely. The Yule Scepter picked up by Amar does net them a kill onto Katomi.
Awkward synergy between the Monkey King and the Pugna. It's one of those games where, and this is why I think Pugna Core is a lot harder to play than Pugna Support and has a lower win rate. Is like he wanted to Decrepify there to do damage because it's like they almost need his Decrepify damage to kill Amar, but then also you probably want your carry Monkey King hitting at the same time too. So
yeah,
I guess the play is just probably wait until like there's at least a DK stun or something and 3 heroes surrounding Amar, because that was a little scattered. Like the DK stun came out later after Stormstormer was in the back and he wasn't there. So like I think if you want to kill Amar, you need to do it in a way more like structured way, where it's like, okay, we have these 3 heroes, let's go. Or he's isolated and the other heroes are dead or something like that, because he's just looking real tanky.
No, yeah, he certainly is.
Hard to gauge with Timbersaw. I mean, that's like one of the more annoying things dealing with the hero is like, you know you're not supposed to focus him, but if he's too far out of position, you have to punish that. You have to be like, let's go on this guy, but sometimes he knows he's not out of position.
OG luring them around the Roshan area and are actually going to go out and try and force a fight. Now, the DK is not the best target. Katomi, though, dropped dangerously low. Arrow slips on by. Katomi, fortunately, does manage to get enough heal. He's going to be okay, but you got to be aware of that Tidebringer hit. Misha actually steps maybe a little bit too far forward here. Caught by the Shadow Shaman, and I like that play. Fishman drops the ward and then plays the distance. Doesn't want to get caught by any OG heroes.
That was super nice.
Good. Okay, Amar does have the BKB, does a healthy amount of damage. But the rest of the team doesn't feel super comfortable going for this one, and it looks like they're going to start backing up, retreating. They just throw the illusions out, do what mana burn they can.
That's usually how the Pugna ward goes.
Yeah.
Is that.
Yeah. So the explanation was they weren't around the wards
when he first
started it,
yes.
and they got in the area.
It doesn't do anything.
It doesn't.
It does nothing.
Yeah.
So we're looking for another double stun before he sucks the ward. That's like what you're looking for.
Can they get this Monkey King into the pit? They've got the Wukong's command, but they cut down the tree. Amar catches him. They're committing for the Roshan right now. BKB's going out. The boat goes down. Roshan's still not dead. It's going to be up to this Dragonite, but he's actually being feed script. They're going to kill him, and the Aegis immediately picked up, and Chrysalis still is not into the fight, truly, is Stormstormer and Chrysalis. Oh, no. Now that's going to be Wukong's command, but Stormstormer, he's nowhere near it. He's trying to get himself away from these heroes that just chase him down. OG, thanks to Amar, that could have been a disaster if he got off the Wukong's command while they were finishing up Roshan, but instead OG collect all the goods.
Yeah, he didn't. I mean, Monkey King's fine. He didn't die. Nothing. You know, he's chilling. But he's the guy. He's the guy that's supposed to be setting up for that Roshan, right? Like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
the reason that it's so difficult to fight in the pit, is that he drops the Wukong's command. So, yeah, cutting that tree, crucial there. Just like a small play. Great patience from OG, too. Like, they're doing the Scooby-Doo thing. They're doing the Scooby-Doo thing. Like, they're not like hard committing to areas anymore. That Roshan looked like maybe it was going to be that, where they are punished for being in the pit, but because of the tree cut, that it didn't happen. It didn't pan out that way.
Yep.
And with that, we have a 9K gold lead for OG.
Yeah, it's funny how Entity were winning fights, but the net worth never really spiraled out of control. OG wins one team fight and just completely goes out. I'm not sure if that's just because of the farming speed of Phantom Lancer.
To be fair, it's the Roche. Like,
Yeah.
they got let's see. I mean, Cheese gives what, 1,000 net worth at this point, and then the Roche kill as well is giving a lot of net worth, and the kills in front of Roche. It's really just like one fight. The fact that that was a fight that they won in the later stages of the game, I think.
Aghanim Scepter now complete for the Monkey King. We're about 1,000 gold away from Ags on the Dragon Knight, so there will be some big timings coming in the way of Entity, just not in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, the move slow from the Black Dragon will be really important, actually, for just all the PL illusions and the cleave, the massive amount of cleave.
Oh, they're actually forcing things right now. I don't think Entity expected this much OG aggression. That's going to be a tier 3 down before anybody's really here to respond. They do catch the real Phantom Lancer with its Decrepify. But Storm's having a hard time dealing with these illusions, constantly harassing him. The Crystalist does barely dodge. Once again, another tree drop might have led to his death. Range Barracks goes down. Let's see if OG wants to keep this up.
Remember we asked Tundra, by the way, in an interview. He's just sitting there sucking the ward. Yeah.
Decrepify the ward.
The problem with this, like, you have to put the ward just in the middle of them. So you're threatening the ward just dying. So this is weird. This is a weird.
Really, I mean, the Decrepify keeps working, but they just, it's done a little outside of the range of Entity. They don't want to go too far, particularly not for a hero that has an Aegis, so.
The Monkey King illusions are really helping out here, too, for the high ground defense. The fact that he's been able to stay there for long enough that he just has the 3 or 4 constant illusions up, it's really hard to push into that. And then the ward as well, the Decrepifies. It looks so goofy, but it legit, like, it holds the high ground for them.
Yeah, it's kind of like a worse version or a late game version of pushing into a Venomancer. You either do it now, or you know, if you give him enough time to set up wards, it's like, okay, it's not worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Sleep, OG. Are they going to all in for this one? No. He's got a Force Staff to get him away. So it'll just be a tier 2. Still have another minute with this Aegis, so if they want to keep this going, would make a lot of sense. Feels like it's very hard for Entity to really stop this Phantom Lancer and punish him heavily. Starts going for the ward, quickly kills it. He's cutting pretty low thanks to this Monkey King, but the Nullifier going out. BKB activated by Crystallis. Yuragi's first life is still up. He's trying to go for Toby right now. Toby is going to turn around. They're charging up the targets. I'm not sure if this is going so well for Entity at all, as Amar just goes in with his BKB. They are still yet to clear out this Aegis. They finally might be able to, once again, Decrepify. A little bit of anti-synergy. The Monkey King doesn't do anything. Yuragi, yes, they finally kill the first life, but your buybacks are going to be wasted here. It's now a dead Monkey King for 2 minutes. Toby's not going to make it back to the fountain either. He can buy back, but what's the point? You don't have your Dragon form. Storm's going to get cleaned up, and just like that, the game is done. OG. Yeah, GG. Call it now.
All right. Dude, Yuragi in that fight. Such an annoying PL player, actually. Like, if you're playing against that, it's infuriating. Like, it's easy for us